criminal charge can lead to deportation, and that's why it's really important that if they're being charged with a crime, that they get an attorney who knows both areas of the law with respect to criminal and immigration. Even for minor offenses, theft, for example, is a crime of moral turpitude. It's a misdemeanor, but that type of crime can lead to not only deportation, but it can also lead to what they call inadmissibility, where the person is not going to be allowed to re-enter the country if they're a legal permanent resident. And it can also bar them from becoming a U.S. citizen if they are a legal permanent resident. So it's really important that individuals who are charged with crimes, minor or serious, work out either a plea deal or hire an attorney who's going to fight for them to make sure that their immigration consequences are not going to be adverse, or that they set an arrangement or plea agreement that is going to be beneficial and that doesn't affect their immigration status. Crimes that lead to deportation, removal, inadmissibility, obvious ones are murder, rape, sexual assault, smuggling of individuals. But it's the crimes of moral turpitude where most people believe that because they're minor in nature, again, if we're talking about theft, for example, fraud, they're inherently bad. And so they affect an immigration consequences more readily than others. We talked about human smuggling cases also. Those are cases that individuals have to be careful with. Domestic violence, drug cases, DWI. In today's environment, we have more detention centers, we have more enforcement of immigration laws. And so if you're charged with a criminal offense, you've got to be careful to work out a deal. Many times clients believe that because they receive, for example, a deferred adjudication and the case was eventually dismissed, that they're okay. When deferred adjudication is, for immigration purposes, it's a conviction. And so you got to be careful when you're working out these deals, even for minor crimes. What happens is that ICE can place a hold on you after you're arrested for a crime. Let's say, for example, you've been arrested for a DWI. And if you have had other crimes or you are undocumented, which means you have no status in the country, ICE can place what is called a detainer on you. And so what they'll do is local law enforcement or the local jail will contact ICE and say, we have an individual who has no status in this country. Or you'll have ICE visit the detention center and question the individuals who are detained. If they do not have immigration status, or if they're subject to a detainer because they've illegally re-entered the country, or they've committed a crime that subjects them to removal or inadmissibility, ICE can put a hold on them. And so what happens is when their case is resolved on the criminal side, the case may be resolved either by entering a plea deal or a conviction. What will happen is that the state can't release the individual. They will notify ICE. ICE has 48 hours to go pick up that individual and to take them to an immigration detention center and pursue removal proceedings against that individual. When you are an immigrant and you've been charged with a crime, it is important to work with an attorney who is familiar and has experience in both areas of the law. A criminal defense attorney who has no experience in immigration law is still required to get advice from an immigration lawyer as to what type of arrangement or a plea agreement or a plea deal that the person can enter into that won't have adverse consequences for the immigrant client. It's important because you want the criminal defense attorney to understand basics or the immigration law and the immigration consequences that their clients face. And communication, obviously, between an attorney and client is of the most importance. But if the criminal defense attorney cannot communicate effectively about the immigration consequences to the immigration client, then he's behind. And so the client now has to look for another attorney to get that guidance. It's just best to do it all with one attorney who knows both areas of the law. If you have any questions about how a criminal charge may affect your immigration status, contact Roman Law.